All right, here we go again. So just to realize, to help you realize the scam of Christianity. So Yeshua's brother's name, if you look it up in Wikipedia, is James, and of course Jezebel's name. I don't even know what Jezebel's real name is. I'm gonna have to find that for you because there's a Jewish, the real name of Jezebel, and I'll find that. So Rabbi Yeshua ben David, they falsely and fictitiously and corruptly called Jesus, has a brother. And his name is theoretically James, but it's not James. It's Yaakov. It's Jacob. So Yeshua's name, which is what they're calling Jesus, which is bullshit. Right? A lot of it in there has been misinterpreted for power games. Right? Like now they own God. So you can see, like if it was a Roman or a Greek person, like their mentality is, yes, we have the God of money, and we have the God of fortune, and we have the God of health, right? So they get this information about Yeshua, and it's picking up steam, with the Jews, because the Jews are learning a little bit more than they had before, if you really understand what Yeshua was saying, and his people were saying. So they go, well, but we have Zeus, God of the law. Right. Trying to outdo each other, The cult of the God of money, the cult of the God, and then it became the cult of the God of law. Right. It's a cult, man. But, so is the FBI. Actually, the cult members took over with cult member, what's his name, Bo? Oh my God, nobody can touch me. Oh, you'll see touch. You're going to be subpoenaed like a Mogeti if the Democrats get in. Right. Gridge will get subpoenaed. He knows it. See? I mean, you might be blessed enough by Satan to make it. But why do that? Right. Driggs knows he's going to be subpoenaed, or most likely will be subpoenaed someday. He actually wrote everything down, I'm sure. He probably, I would have wore a wire. I personally would have wore a wire if Bove came in and started telling me shit. You wouldn't be nobody to give it to. See, because you didn't do anything about what they did to my life, now you're all in the same position. There's nobody for you to give the shit to. To protect yourselves. Right. After all these years, God got the FBI back for what they were and are doing in my life. Now, some of them there think they're golden. Oh, we're golden, we'll try back. Oh, yeah. They kept book. They're keeping book. Cash is going to try to figure out, how can we do search warrants on every agent's house? That'll just make it worse, believe me. They seized all the evidence from me. Well, where is it? They shredded it. Oh, you burned it, Cash. You didn't leave the bag laying around like Clapper, right? Nah, they got stuff everywhere. Like for me, I had nobody. Like the FBI knows there was nobody I could trust in my workplace. I mean, it was developing. I could kind of trust Goose at a certain point, right? Matt, But again, you can't say, "Oh, CIA's trying to kill me." Working's like, hey, come on, be in the special operation group more. Come on. He had like 3 or 4 SOG guys trailing behind him. Yeah, do it more, do it. I'm like, I can't tell you. If I had to turn around, the CIA's trying to kill me. I can't do it. Quick and Shelton are part of the CIA with frickin' Henry somehow. They took care of Henry. They sent him over to Pakistan. That was just to make him look better than me. Because it was coming up. This guy's a Sapolita. He was in the Persian Gulf. So they sent Henry to do some court work over in Last time I read about him in Pakistan. That's only because the CIA was propping him up, right? He was a murderer. He's one of their hit people. I don't know what happened after I left. I don't know if anybody committed suicide or not. Yeah, he's another suspect. If it was suicide, he would be suspect in Jonathan Luna's death also. Right. And then, of course, the girlfriend would be suspect also by trying to freak him out till he killed himself. She may have been a fake girlfriend. Right. That crocodile tears. You know, like the moment, like when she came in crying, it was like the moment that the CIA owned her. Now you did it. You killed somebody you knew. Because like she thinks, well, we're just pressuring him so I'll do the right thing. I mean, somebody's got to watch everyone. And next thing you know, he's dead, you know. But now you'll be a millionaire. You've joined the ranks of the other devils. You've stressed out somebody to death. CSS told me she was black. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. Now they believe she was nuts, like fanatical beyond any level of sanity. That's that kind of mindset. And the lunatics took over the FBI, there's no doubt. Right. But again, there's a lot of evidence against him. It's only a matter of time. Part of what it's doing is Satan is just running the clock on my life. Right. So there'll probably be no up, you know, with this administration, but you know, a lot of these people will probably be in prison within 5, 6 years, probably 7 years, within 7 years. But there'll be charges within 4 if it goes to the Democrats. You just burned your Detroit vote, which is your Michigan vote. And it's not just Detroit. You know, they live in suburban areas also, right? They don't care you go to Macy's. The next thing is they're going to move everybody to like Turkey, or try to move everybody to Turkey. They've already told them no. All right. The international community has ended. The countries that they are have already said no. Right. For all we know, the only work CIA is doing is trying to move Palestinians. And we probably have like 2,000 spy and spy contractors in those Arabic countries trying to, force them to take the Palestinians. Meanwhile, everything else is just like, who cares, right? They extort them, they pay them money. It's the same deep state. The deep state bullshit comes from, CIA pressure campaigns. But they began to use it for personal use, and that's corrupt, right? And against the law, quite honestly. So every few months, Trump's going to say it to see if it changed, right? Because the spies are out doing shit. Whether it be government, private sector. So they're going to say no. Europe's going to say no. You're just going to hit a wall the whole time because you're just going to go back to the same bullshit. Europe's going to say no, and then as far as Ukraine, and then Arabic nations are going to say no. Right. But you always got Laura Loomer to look at and sit back on your money and laugh. Right. That's what they tell their people. Sit back on your money and laugh. No, none of them believe in God. That's for sure. And again, if they do have a religion, they believe in Satan. And Satan scams and wicked schemes. That's why Satan's called the God of this world. Because you all worship him. Whether you call him Jesus or Krishna or whatever. Well, you know, the whole thing about, what's it? DACA recipient detained after crossing into Mexico. What? This one. Oh, when he came back. Right. Why was he? Yeah, you can arrest him, but the judge said that it's protected. Right. No, they can't. You can't deport unless you have a reason. No, there was fine. McLaughlin's wrong. Right. You know, they were protected under I think the Trump administration, last Trump administration. The judges ruled that they were protected. It's a protected status that you can't change, they said. That's a little different. And again, I thought they were going to use that for the trans people. Essentially, what they're saying is you offered these people something and they built a life. You can't deport them. That's what the judge said. No, it is. She's wrong. She's wrong. No, it does give them. I mean, you may not have it as far. It's case law. It's not it's not a legislative law, but it's case law. And it went to the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if I can find. I'm going to put it online. Oh, there's Laura Loomer. Oh, you're so wonderful. Yeah, I can't believe we quadriplegics for bringing in for medical care. I can't believe we're doing that. It's so evil that we do that. We're endangering the whole country. Y'all look like lunatics, I'll tell you that. Don't grow up to rape somebody, Laura said. Oh, Laura, you're such a good seer. You gotta wonder if she had sex with Trump at this point. I mean, what the fuck are they listening to her for? All right. Yeah, you know, Trump's going to be using the auto pen soon. He's got to be losing his mind. Nah, he's listening too much. I mean, okay. So look, if I was president, number one, I'd make sure that I set up a program to get the homeless people that I said we were going to put somewhere. But Trump says we're going to put them somewhere. We're going to give them a place to live. Okay. If I didn't remember to do that program, I would look at my whoever number 2, number 3, whoever I assigned that kind of stuff. So I told you before, you have to track what Trump's saying. Because nobody made sure that the homeless people were put somewhere. So now you have bad publicity. You're looking at an idiot. Again, when you bring up economic data, they're going to say, remember Trump said he was going to take care of the homeless people? They're all walking around trying to figure out where they're going to sleep. Right. And again, I know how it works because I'm an intelligent person, unlike all of you. Oh, but we got money! But that's organized crime, okay? That's something different. That's not intelligence. The billionaires are all crime bosses. They steal technology from lesser people who don't have protection. They either kill them or they say, give it to us and, we'll give you a little money. Right. Thank you, Lynn. It's all extortion. And worse, murder. Because you can't extort unless you murder every so often. At least in their mind, that's where they are. So what's going to happen is when they look at the economic data and they're like, well, I don't know, this doesn't look right. Because remember when Trump did that? Remember when Trump said he was going to take care of the homeless people and he didn't? See, it's all bullshit. Right. So again, somebody in the White House should have actually recorded that and brought it up by the next morning in a meeting, if not that day. Right. And then you say, okay, it's very simple. You have money to spend on everything, including this. It's not that many people, but it has a lot of bearing on how they're going to see the operations. Right. So you get them. I would say, I think the numbers they had there, you could even do it with a van, but I would get one of those mini buses. I'm sure they have them somewhere in DC. The government's got one somewhere. Like their shuttle buses. You get your social worker, maybe even just get a HUD person, whoever it is. And then you get the social workers later. They sit in that bus with the driver. They go out to the site where they're tearing it down. They collect. They go, right before it happens. They go in there and say, "Look, I'm so-and-so. I'm a social worker with the government, or I'm representative of housing and urban development. We're here to figure out your future, get you some place to live. Gather what you can and get up on the bus, and we'll take you to your new housing location." And say, look, we're not going to mess with you. We want you to find a place to live. You're going to live somewhere for a short period of time, then we'll find you something more permanent. HUD can fast track them and get them a voucher in no time. Right. All those people can have HUD vouchers within 2 months and probably within a month. Because it's part of something that's a priority operation. Right. You need to get them off the street because you're trying to do a public safety cleanup of the federal city. And you can also justify it by the closeness to government agencies and government operations, and government, the president, the House, the Senate, the staff lives in D.C. So you already had something happen to one of your idiot staff members who doesn't know how to stay alive in D.C. Or employees, whatever he is. Cornstein's probably propped up by CIA by now, right? It's like a CIA crony. Elon runs his own CIA, so it's a competing CIA. Elon and Ellison run their own CIAs. Cornstein's one of the agents in Elon's CIA. I'm serious. Your kid would have been a football player if you'd have rescued me, Elon, before you signed that paper for your kid to have hormones. Your kid would have been a Football player, a bodybuilder. Male biology there. He would have changed his name to a Norse name because he'd feel like a Viking every day. It's hormones, man. I mean, bodybuilders won't say anything because they're part of the thing, and they don't say anything because they get money for shutting up, That's the thing. Elon's part of the shut up thing too. He's not free speech. Come on. Oh, there's Mr. Oaks. They're all sit-outs. We'll get them for you, Mr. Oaks. President Oaks there. The first hymn this Sunday will be God is in his holy temple. You lied, my menorah. I mean, not my menorah, my mezuzah. What is that? Looks evil. Let me kiss the mezuzah. That's probably what broke it wide open. They evil-eyed my mezuzah. Things attacking him. Hey, get away, witch! This is the worst way to get back at them. Just keep laughing at them. Like, oh, laughing at us. That's it. They're laughing at us. Onward, Western soldiers. So the guy started here, they got in the middle. So Yakov, oh, I have to post this. She's wrong, McLaughlin's wrong. Right. Let's see. That was adjudicated, it's case law. So what's it, just? What was that place? What's that place? I get married. DACA has case law. You can arrest them if there's something there, but I don't think you can, if there's a reason to deport, but they're protected from, I don't even know if you can deport, because they are protected by the case law. Not by statute. However, they are protected. I mean, if I don't know what you think. Like, I don't know the person. There may be something there, but I don't even think I think you're required to just jail somebody and put them in prison if they commit a crime, and then let them out. And I think they're protected. I think it was like the court gave them pseudo citizenship, right? Well, I thought that's what they were going to use for the trans people, because you kept, giving them the idea that they could have a career, right? And then you would bash their career. That's why that they can get retirement, I believe. They weren't the ones that entered in. They didn't enter in the government under false pretenses or based upon, and they may have transitioned in the government, but still, the idea was they were allowed to be, right? Thank you. So they set up their career. I mean, you're the ones that put them out. I think you have to pay them. I think that'll be the end of that whole court case there. Right. Because Joe Biden is the government. You can't say, but we didn't accept it. You're the government. You don't stop. The lineage doesn't stop. That's the part that you're all confused about. Right. So you have to get the attorneys to look at the case. Huh? I don't know why you don't know that. Right. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm almost positive. Well, there is no legislative law protecting DACA. Right, so what was the last one? Right, so the Fifth Circuit found on your behalf, but that's Texas. Oh, no, wait, where is that? Where's the Fifth? Is that Texas? Yeah, but they still said it's continued. Right. There's no final decision on the new thing. In other words, it's all stayed, right? It hasn't made it to the Supreme Court yet. Right. For that go around. No, there was a finding. It's still not. The old finding is still in effect. And that finding is that they're protected because you told them they could stay here. All right, and they built a life. That was the rationale. Right. It's still in effect. There was a court on the Fifth Circuit found in favor of DACA being illegal, and even if it's found to be legal, it doesn't mean that the court is going to finally decide that you can, like, they could say it's illegal and then there'll be no new people added or something like that. Like, there could never be again such a program, but it doesn't mean that the court will accept deportation of people that lived there 20, 30 years under DACA, or 15 years, or whatever. I don't know what the dates are on that thing. Well, it's only in the Fifth Circuit. Again, it says Texas first, which makes me think it's probably one of their judges, or their panel of judges. Right. Let's see, where's the Fifth Circuit? Fifth Circuit. Fifth Circuit, or Fifth Court of Circuits. See what we got here. Yeah, it's Texas. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a routinely more conservative court. There's probably liberals on the court, but the luck of the draw probably gave you a bunch of conservatives. Right? Well, it doesn't mean anything now, because it's the Fifth. So what the Ninth District is to liberals, the Fifth District is to the conservatives. It's very little indication of what the Supreme Court will do. Usually, not usually, but there's a larger chance in the Fifth District or the Fifth Circuit and the Ninth Circuit that the Supreme Court will reverse the findings or the rulings. So it's not really indicative of what the Supreme Court will do. They're activist circuits. Right. Now, Trump did kind of put some people in the Ninth Circuit, which did change it a little bit. And the Fifth Circuit probably wasn't as bad conservatively as the Ninth Circuit was liberally, like 15 years ago. Like, there was a point where we had to, there was a rule when I was in the BOP, I think it was, you had to use a woman to search a woman in the Ninth Circuit. A man could not pat down a woman, even in emergency circumstances. The court had ruled that. No, I don't know. It was before the trans thing, so I don't know what they would rule in reference to trans, but that was like the early 90s. I don't know how long it went. I can't remember. I think when I went to Marshal Service Academy, the thing was the same, but I can't remember. Where it was still like if you're in the Ninth Circuit, a woman has to search a woman, and a man has to search a man. You can't do the other way. Again, in the BOP, we would try to do it that way anyway. A woman searches a woman, man searches a man. I mean, Marshal Service also. Right. That's the only thing Shelton was used for, you know. I got a woman, get the little girl in here. And then she'd bitch about it. Oh, why do I have to do it? You're the only woman in the office. That's why. Yeah, she messed with my life. She messed with my family. She wasn't protecting my family at all. She wanted to ruin me at the cost of my family. Right. In fact, she stalked me. And then at a certain point, you know what they did? At a certain point, they were all doing this shit like out of an investigation. So they messed up my life enough where they could investigate me officially. So every one of these people then would show up around me. So that I couldn't say they were stalking me. It was after I said they were stalking me. So after I said they were stalking me, they created an official investigation to cover themselves, and they would show up around me. Right, because they know they fog people's minds and memories. But again, here we're going back, what, how many years is that? Like 20, like 4 years that they started that part of it, where they would come around me when I was out, oh, he's talking about when we were investigating him. No, it was prior to them officially investigating me. Right. So she would be in my life and be stalking me and shit. They all were. They're all felons, man. We don't know who they were all working for. We surmise who was involved in it. Right. Remember, under their watch, all that narcotics. I mean, they're going to sit there and pontificate today as some conservative somewhere. But under their watch, all the Russians became gazillionaires, right? And the narcotics spread, STDs spread, right? Thank you, Larry. No, when I'm powered up, that stuff doesn't happen. Right. Right. The only woman in the office, that's why. I use that term loosely. No, she directly attacked me and my family outside of the Marshal Service, outside of her official duties. Right. So did Slickster. Right. The Spanish guy, I don't know how deep he was. He eventually supposedly got in trouble. Like at the end, I don't know if it was real or set up. Right. Because they were doing so much crazy CIA type shit. And that's what their goal was, right, to confuse it. Like, just fringe people. The central part, I'm sure of. But like the Spanish guy that was the guy that was hated because he did something in D.C., like he did somebody, right? Right. He came to our office. I don't know if he got in trouble for going to, he was going out and partying with other people in the office. Right. G-Ride, that kind of thing. They asked me, because he could have been stinging me, and that could have been the next step of the sting. Right. I mean, these weren't, I knew this was going on for a long time. Right? And again, when it started, it was just bullshit and fake. Like, not fake, I mean, they were doing it. Well, so I suspected something. So I go on, so 9/11 happens. And the first place we go is to the BWI. So we're working at BWI. They're bringing the bait women in. I checked out a couple of them to see who they might be, right? See if they're, what I was trying to do is build a nexus between them and the other people that were involved in some way. Maybe a location, a family member, a professional organization such as, like Kroll or Booz Allen Hamilton, right? Thank you. So I go to BWI. They used a couple bait women there. I befriended a customs woman, which I think they may have brought in at some point. Her and I were doing. She was married. I was married. Actually, I was on my way to divorce, I think, at that point. But we were, we do patrols together at the airport. We were friendly with one another, right? It was some younger black woman. I don't remember how I guess I was on our team. We were on teams together, I guess, or something like that. But I remember I would do patrols with her, and we kind of, I wouldn't say hang out, but, we were just friendly. Back then, it was just customs. She was like a uniformed officer. So we go to my next after that. Nobody wanted to, because everybody got overtime at the airport, and they weren't big on. I mean, they all had money. So again, they had already. Most of those people had done something for the deep state, and their life was already going up. Right. Most of the people in my workplace. So again, remember, it's a deep state takeover. I don't know how far into deep state they were, but they obviously were being paid by deep state. Once it all fell apart, I figured out what was going on. Right. So the CIA was paying these people to kill people, including me. Right. Well, again, they, how far they went into it, I can't tell you. Because again, they're trying to recruit these people to be murderers. So they may not have been at that first day. Like I said, Luna's girlfriend, her crying, she may have realized that she helped kill Jonathan Luna. Or she may have done it. Again, crocodile tears of some sorts. Right? But the CSOs insinuated that it would be that. Again, I just left it up to to them to talk to the FBI and the FBI to decide, what the hell happened, because I didn't know what the hell. I told them I didn't know what the hell happened. I said I tried to make friends with that woman, and I thought John was going to fix it, and that was my whole interaction with John. I've never had an interaction before that or after that with him, except in the courtroom once, and he did look a little shook, but again, a lot of shit was going on. They were killing him. There's no doubt. Because they also, like, after they killed John, they increased it because they were hoping to make me look like I killed him. Like, the inference. It doesn't matter what the evidence is to anybody in the FBI as long as they, get their story straight, Right. He run it like a criminal enterprise. Like I told you from the beginning that what they did is they learned all the crook shit and then used it. Like CIA, FBI, Tenet, Mueller, they learned how to be crooks and then became the biggest crooks because they were the FBI and the CIA and DOJ. They took over the crook world. But again, it was with the techies. So they built the techies to be part of it. Right. And then I think some of the billionaires took over their little parts of it. Again, Ellerson's probably most likely connected to CIA somehow, whether he knows it or not. Same thing with Elon Musk. Now, what branch and what person and what group and right. And of course Putin looks to see who he can prop up, and now he's kind of on the outs right now compared to where he used to be, because they used to be able to run stuff without even without having war, without having any connect. Nobody knew anything. How are these people being enriched? So after 9/11, well, we had a lot of reason to be with Russia, though. You got to remember, we had the Islamic insanity pick up. Like the jihadists. It's not Islam. Islam actually, if you study the guy I tell you to study, Imam, he sets the mood. This is not. You can't kill your neighbor just because they offend. It may tell you that, but again, to get to that point, from point A to an execution is like, it's a pretty big leap, right? So they just make it like, oh, you just kill people. Oh, I saw your neck. I get to kill you. I mean, it's never meant to be that. There was actually women that were running it. Who knows if they were even wearing a hijab? I mean, that probably somebody along the way was like, yeah, they have to keep their faces covered. Some low grade person that had some power. And then it spread. Yeah, women have to keep their faces covered. We should do that here at LDS. LDS have to keep their faces covered. God is in his holy temple. That guy from Poltergeist. It must be LDS. They probably knew. You know what? I didn't know anything. I was asleep when they made the Poltergeist movie. But the people that wrote it may have known the LDS were evil. Right? I mean, who knows? You may try to join an LDS church. They try to extort them. Oh, wait, we're going to make a movie here and put them in there. So, nobody wanted to do the assignment, and I was glad that they, because you give me extra money, and I could, ride my bike in D.C., that kind of thing. Not D.C., but Arlington. So they're like, we got a detail. You go to Arlington and you do a security, do security for, what they need you to secure in Arlington. And, I get to my hotel and I open the curtains. It's a government cut rate room, And I'm looking right at the Pentagon. I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, the chances are minimal, but still. So trying to kill me, So they're willing me dead. Next thing you know, after 9/11, I'm like outside. My room is like what, about less than not even a quarter, probably like a half a block. Like, I mean, it's there. I'm looking right at the Pentagon, just like a half a block from the Pentagon. But it's a direct view from my room. So I go to headquarters and I draw the night shift. And that's golden. Right. A little confusing at first, but we get our shifts down, our posts down, right? And so I think I'm on a down post. Sometimes I'll go on a down post. I would, strap on my like an MP3 player, and I take a walk just to exercise. And it's good. I'm wearing my blues and my fatigue type stuff with blues back then, and I'm walking to my hotel, which is maybe a quarter mile, half mile from where I was. And again, I got a uniform on. I'm walking through through Arlington. So again, it's part of the help with security too, right? And but I walk to my hotel, do some quick, chest presses or something, just to keep myself going throughout the night. But at this particular time, I didn't do that. I said, let me talk, sit there, talk to this guy. And God Hashem set it up. So he's telling me, I forget what I said to him. I didn't know everything, but he goes, in the marshal service, sometimes your stock is up, sometimes your stock is down. You know what I mean? No, I didn't. I was still asleep, I had no clue what he was saying. So then he says, in Arizona, they just busted some of the deputies. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do. They're probably not going to do anything, but they were stalking under the guise of investigation one of their coworkers. They're not authorized to do that. They're not allowed to. Right. So again, at that point, I knew, it wasn't just Baltimore. Right. And of course, the witch in the Greenbelt office, she was a big mover of that corruption. Right. She thought she was going to take over. I don't think they ever let her take over. Because even if you're deep state, she's not the person you want to be in charge of anything. Let be even an assistant chief or something like that, right? I guess we never had an assistant chief. So we get this assistant chief position, and the deep state puts one of their people in. And that's where our district fell apart. Right. Before she arrived, we had the greatest district award. And I had actually gone out on 2 weeks leave. Somebody may have been doing something to me back then. I got sick, like unexplained sickness for like 2 to 3 weeks. Right. It was almost like 2 months, I think. Right. That's where I reconnected with the church. Like they would say, because I was sick, I reconnected with the church because I was away from the evil eyes for 2 months. Right. See? I had a dream and all sorts of stuff. Right. Thank you, Larry. But it was Jesus in it, but again, you don't call him Jesus. His name's not really Jesus. His brother's not James. His brother's name was Jacob. So it was like, they're all sitting around and going, this is Yeshua, this is Yaakov, this is Shimon, this is Yochanan. They weren't sitting around, this is Jesus, this is John, this is Paul. They weren't saying that. Never in their life did they say that. So yeah, while I was on assignment, I got a little bit of a boost. Right. I knew that something was up. I got some information, for the investigation. So again, these people I talk about, they were in my life outside their authority, outside their jurisdiction. So I talked to my wife right before they finalized the divorce, and everything was still under control. Everything was still under control. My wife, my kids, everything was still under control. So all of a sudden she tells me Rick Henry stopped by. This is what she tells me. Under the guise of some judicial security investigation. Now, I knew men in my office thought my wife was hot. Right. I couldn't see it because she abused me for so long. I just, you want to take her. But no, I didn't offer to Rick Everett. Right. I didn't offer it to anybody. I just didn't say anything. That's generally how I was. If it wasn't worthy of a response, then you didn't get a response. Right. So for all I know, he had sex with my wife. But that's when it fell apart. That's when she was empowered to be corrupt. And again, I know how deep state worked. You say, well, why didn't you fight for your kids? Well, my kids made a decision based upon whatever Rick Henry told her and whatever she told the kids. She felt empowered at that point. Right. And who she heard something from was most likely Rick Henry, which puts Rick Henry in as being a child abuser, a child molester. Right. Again, projection is big in this thing. Right. He's deep state, and he's projecting. Right. So anything he accuses anyone else of at that point appears to be projection, or could be projection. Right. But again, the divorce, what do they call them? Administrator, I guess. She had experience with this bullshit. So she says to my wife, so you're saying something, and you stop right there. If you want to make a statement, I will bring a witness in here. You're not going to sit here and do this all day. Right. So my wife's like, well, I heard. She says she heard. Rick Henry visited. Right. Which puts Rick Henry in as a child molester. Based upon what we know, what we see in the world. It's even worse today now, like, government, the full government is projecting. Right. Back then, projection wasn't a big deal. But the deep state it was. Right. Like little girl. Oh, they're all lazy and won't do their job. This is kind of shit you have to put up with in the government. You got people that are lazy that won't do the job, and they project it on everyone that they're not doing their job. All right. You're lucky if a little girl spent 2 hours in the courthouse in the workday. Right. She'd come in, check in, go to court, and then you wouldn't see her till a half hour before everybody gets off and goes home. No, a special assignment my ass. Yeah, no, actually, a special assignment the assistant chief's ass. Right. Lesbian affair, both of them. Right. That's where her power came up, because the assistant chief was her lesbian lover. Before that, she would have sex with supervisors and things like that, judges. Like all judges, had no chance of sex with anybody. Right? She'd come along, now I own you. Nastiest whores you ever want to see, including Rick Henry. I mean that in the whore sense. Right? Sellouts. They tried to shift sellout to mean that they were actually, working for the system. I guess they were, but it's a corrupt system. Department of Homeland Security. Rescind dog agreement to resist Administrative Procedures Act. It's arbitrary. It was 2000. So 2009, something happened, like the Texas case went somewhere, but then it stalled. Right. Yeah, it's not even going to the Supreme Court yet. Because seek review. What date was that? Oh, it's January 17th. Yeah, we're still under review. But no, there's no case law changing anything. Right. Yeah. as far as the Supreme Court. Right. Okay, they're only at the point of no work permits. Only protection for, they do have protection for deportation. Even the Texas people, the Texas circuit gave them protection for deportation. Right. They're actually behind schedule, I think, in ruling. Well, as far as Texas goes, you don't have to give them a work permit, but you have to. They are still protected from deportation. I guess they're all the role of praying, God is in His holy term. No, I don't confront people and everybody. And they go, well, see, that's a scam where he says he doesn't confront people, but the evidence is he doesn't confront people. It's just like they use this bullshit where I'm such a genius criminal that I get over by not committing the crime. That's really where they are. I mean, if you listen to them, they're psychos, right? Like I'm such a big criminal and such an intelligent criminal that they don't use these words, but I don't commit the crime because he doesn't want to be arrested. It's not that he doesn't commit the crime because he doesn't want to commit the crime. It's just he doesn't want to be arrested. You just look at him like, what? Stupid shit like that. That's what they're using. To not give me any credit in that analysis so that the thing stops and goes away. Right. Meanwhile, they're all committing crimes. So again, the whole thing is bullshit to begin with. Correct. Yep. I believe the Trump administration is still doing my life because they're failing. Failing miserably. They're setting themselves up to be lost. Right. No, there is DACA protection. That's that's whatever. Right. Excellent. I'm waiting for some Amazon deliveries. They're in the head around it. Idiots. They'll be taken down, all of you. Yeah, they're fake. LDS is fake. It's probably a real cult at this point. But again, so is the FBI. Okay, so when I say it's a cult, the ancient days of cult, they were just cults, independent cults. Now they're part of an organized crime effort. So it's a little bit different. Oh, you'll get your money, you'll live your life, and then you go to hell all of you. So who didn't turn this guy over? Well, because he's Orlando, Florida. Was that where he was incarcerated in Florida? It doesn't make sense. I mean, we're talking about Democrats, but did we have? Why would the Republicans have him somewhere? Now it says masked men jumped a San Bernardino family, and I'm like, again, what we're finding is the representation isn't accurate. They leave out one thing, right? Right. Well, I think in this one they tried to run over the agent, but I'm not sure. I think I read somewhere where the vehicle lurched forward or something. Right. Well, again, it's false. You have to. Okay, let me look at these agents. Let me see. It could be. I mean, you have to make sure that you're clearly marked. It says police. Anybody can have police, but still, it says police.
I was able to speak with this man. He's still shaken, and so is his. I was able to speak. I was able to speak with this man. He's still shaken.
It doesn't.
They then decided to drive home. Once at home, they say they called San Bernardino PD to file a police report.
Yeah, but the police report's a cover story. The police report's a cover story. I already figured that one out. Right. What are we going to do? Call the police. Right. They tried to cover it over. Right. At least that's, again, I don't know for sure, but it came up like.
He's still shaken, and so frustrated, and his son-in-law, he says they were working. So we arrived at the family home a few hours after the attack. Dozens of community members had gathered outside. We tried reaching San Bernardino PD multiple times, but have not heard back from them. So we arrived at the family home a few hours. They then decided to drive home. Once at home, they say they called San Bernardino PD, shattering some of the windows. No one was injured. The family says they then decided to drive home. Once at home, they say they called San Bernardino PD to find.
See, there's something missing. I think the vehicle moved forward, and then the officer shot at the vehicle because it was coming at him or something. I don't know if that's it, but right. And so then when they get home, then they call the PD, right, as a cover story. It's the same bullshit. The same I don't know, that's not Border Patrol. But, it's funny because Border Patrol is involved. And if you watch the videos online, like instead of watching the video that says you don't have to, roll down your window, you don't have to this. Again, there's certain things you can do. Again, get on your phone right there. I imagine a cell phone and say, hey, look, we're calling the police department. When they get here, we'll come out. So again, okay, so maybe even ICE should maybe do that. I mean, you may not want to take that standpoint, but if there is an issue with people, because again, you have a counterproductive propaganda thing going on out there. You don't have to do anything. They have to do this. They have to do that. These people are clearly marked as police, but I know for a fact I could look like that if I go to Gall's and buy a bunch of stuff, right, or some other place, or Amazon even. Right. So if they have concerns, they should immediately call the police and identify that they're calling the police and ask the ICE people to wait. Again, I'm not going to say they will, because again, if there's an exigent reason that they're trying to get into your vehicle, then they're going to get into your vehicle. Right. They don't have to show warrants. They don't have to really show IDs. But maybe at that point, you do want to hold out an ID. Right. I would say ICE, again, this is going to come out a certain way, and it's whatever. And, the officers probably can get away with what they did. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But, right, somebody might want to have their creds out and just hold your creds up. And that's all. I mean, they do have a point in that particular instance, right? But again, the idea is to counter the propaganda that nobody has to do anything other than sit in their vehicle. You should. You should say, these are your only options, and we're not guaranteeing, right? Because if there's a reason to get into the vehicle in an emergency circumstance, whatever it is, I don't know what that could be. It could be, they believe somebody is being held against their will, then they're going to get in there, But you can say, hey, I'm going to call the local police, dial 911, and we'll come out when the police arrive, right? Then there were a couple, I guess, carjacks and rapes or something recently of that. What are you wearing? Okay, it does say CBP on there. Well, I mean, obviously, when you went to the academy, you know they tell you to pull your creds out and say, I'm so-and-so from whatever the agency is. Right. So I'm just taking it back to there. Obviously, in your career, you've done that. Right. Yeah, I guess police just kind of, but they're in a marked unit. I guess detectives have come at them, right? But it's just maybe it's because you have to understand there's a counter propaganda. There's a propaganda thing out there brainwashing these people into believing they can do this to you, right? Well, why did you hit a hospital, and what is your representation there? Right. Thank you, Lance. Again, the idea that you hit a hospital isn't possibly, but you can't just hit a hospital. There's requirements. Okay, if they're using it, it doesn't mean everybody in the hospital is part of it. Right? Again, this is the civilized world realize there are horrible criminals and horrible terrorists, but there's an order that you're supposed to keep. You're not supposed to become like them and just indiscriminately kill people. Then there's no metaphysical basis for you to succeed. Like God, why would God bless you if you just indiscriminately kill people? Winning doesn't necessarily mean that God's blessing you. This is Satan's planet. Right?
What do you want? What do you want? Identification.
I don't know if you heard them, but they did ask for identification. In the academy, you're instructed to show people your identification. Obviously, on a traffic stop, it's not something that you are required to do. But again, if you're required to do it, when you walk up to somebody's door for an interview, that's the way we're supposed to do it. Right? Not everybody does it, that's obvious. And not everybody does it all the time. But in this particular case, they asked for identification. I don't know if you heard them. Again, we can hear it inside the car. Your name? Oh. You can cover your face. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, that's again, they don't have a right to run you over. I don't think that is justified, right? Yeah, it's kind of a weird place to pull them over too. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Or you're outside the law. But I mean, I don't know what these people are into. They could be drug dealers for all you know, right? They could think you're a rival drug organization. But again, they could be bullshit.
What do you want?
Could have drugs in the car too.
No.
Right. Okay. They don't show when, supposedly you cracked off a round, that's probably when you did it. They stop it at that point. Right. The video doesn't show when you cracked off the round. Right. You're most likely to the front of the vehicle and reacted. I think. I don't. Hopefully you didn't shoot a fleeing vehicle. I mean, nobody was hit, so you probably won't get in trouble, but once they're fleeing, right, that's when you don't shoot them. Right? You're not allowed. Once they get past you, in other words, and don't step in front of the vehicle. There's officers that are dead because they jumped in a vehicle, or again, there's one recently, he fell off the back of it. Don't jump in a vehicle. Don't be that kind of hero, because your hero is your radio. That's your hero. Right? It'll keep you alive. Don't jump in a vehicle. Don't hold on to a vehicle. Right. Once they speed away, again, people will step in front of a vehicle so they can shoot the occupant, and then they get run over. Right. And they want to hit the person with attempted murder, but like, the idiot stepped in front of the vehicle. That's not normal. Normal people don't step in front of a vehicle. To save the world, he stepped in front of the vehicle. He's an idiot. So again, I guess what this is getting at is come up with a better plan, like a more organized system. Right? I don't know the answer of identifying yourself, because if they put the ID out, because I'm the one that brought up the facial recognition. If they bring their ID out, it could dox them in facial recognition. Right? So you have to do something. I have to figure something out. Right. It'll take a little longer. You might want to instruct them, hey, call 911 and we'll wait. If you have any doubts, call 911, tell them, and then contact the police department and say, maybe if something that won't be friendly, it might be an issue, but, say, we would appreciate if you come over right away, right? Professional courtesy. Right. The only way to do it is for you to develop a system where you bring a marked unit in. That still may have ended the same way. Right. But, at least from your side of the thing, you've done everything you could, because they are right. You're not identifying yourself. Thank you, Larry. I know if I was Mexican and I dealt drugs, I wouldn't believe you were anybody. Right. We'd be beheaded within hours. What was that? Is this that one? This is one where the officer fell off the back. It's different. When did that happen? Is that recent, or is that just rehashing? Yeah. Again, you have to, somebody send this out. DHS can send it out. Just recommend that they don't jump in vehicles or on vehicles. There was a guy that jumped in a vehicle. The thing crashed. He survived, but he died a little while after. They both died, I think, eventually. He came up out of the like a ravine or something where the car was in. It was like, but you don't do it. It's just not necessary. Think through it. So again, you have to train for that. You have to train to actually get away from things. So your reflex is to get away instead of run towards. Like your emotion, like, I'm going to get this son of a... Right. But then they run you over. You're like, beep. Like one of those... We use a training video. We'll make one of those videos. Where you're like, ooh, you're an angel, I'm going to get this guy. He gets run over and he's in heaven. Where the guy teaches those shooting techniques. Thanks, sir. Now you have to clean up. So you have to clean up several things. One is not to jump in vehicles. Make sure they understand that. Don't jump in. You may have arrested somebody one time and then everybody does it, right? Then it's, how many people end up injured or dead? So don't jump in vehicles. Don't jump on vehicles. Right. Just don't do it. You got a radio, because what you're doing is you're wasting time. Right. Because it could go real bad. So what you do is you just immediately get on your radio, you do clear and concise report. And then what it is, your entity should have a plan on what to do when that happens. We agree. So again, it all comes back to that training, and again, what you want to do is you want to elevate your just conventional police department to what special operations groups do, to what SWAT teams do. You may not be as perfect as they are, but when you do that training, when you do that extra drills, like you create drills. So what you're doing is you're going to create a drill for a vehicle that's fleeing and eluding while you're standing there, you're doing a traffic stop, and they take off. The first thing is you don't, like, if you're taught to back away, grab your radio, make the call, like a drill, like you do for like a SWAT team going in, an entry, a dynamic entry, whatever it is, right? Then that's what you're going to do. If you don't do that, you're going to try to get in the vehicle and get your head bopped by the window pillar or whatever it is. Right. So that's one of the things that is not traditionally done. It's something that I came up with. That you create drills for like mundane tasks, such as what do you do when somebody flees and eludes and you're standing next to the door? You just get away from it. That's what you want to do, right? Because we don't want your wife to be a widow, right? So. But the whole thing is you have something to do. You grab that mic, you transmit, right, as accurately and as quickly as you can. So again, the DHS might want to come up with, a suggested drill so that officers aren't injured. Again, the idea is you don't jump on a vehicle. You don't enter a vehicle that's, because they're starting to move or something like that. I mean, you may have arrested somebody or seen somebody arrested based upon that circumstance, but it's not worth it because we know that officers have been killed, officers have been severely injured. Right. So when it comes to people that won't open their vehicle, you might want to just tell your officers, call 911, we'll wait. Right. You can even say, if you're afraid to come out, call 911, bring the cops here, we'll wait. Right. Thank you, Lynch. So then you've closed that excuse for fleeing and eluding. And anyway, it's not an excuse, but you're not probably going to prosecute for it. Or maybe you will in that particular instance, right? Great. I mean, obviously, they probably knew you were police, but again, when you get that thing to a courtroom, well, because you wouldn't show them your ID because you don't want to be doxxed. But a judge is going to say you have to do something. Right. So to satisfy the court before you get to court, right, which, again, the judges are watching the news and they're looking at it going, well, they didn't show them their ID. I mean, what did they expect? Right. Because the judge sits on court cases and the judge knows that a lot of times they're shown ID. People are shown ID. Right. So the only way to fix it is if there's a question, I mean, if they're not opening the door, say, look, if you got any questions, call 911, we'll wait. Just take control of the situation. Don't let them think they're controlling it. Because you call 911. Did you call 911? Again, once upon a time, we don't enforce ICE law. Well, you mean you thwart ICE law by not performing your duties like you do for every other law? So that means you're impeding. Like any department that says that they don't enforce ICE law, it means they don't enforce law. Right? And based upon what they do on a daily basis for every other law enforcement officer says they are impeding ICE law, which means they're obstructing justice. Well, because if you weren't there as a local PD or a local government, somebody else would be there. And they would respond. So you're impeding. See, it's your decision. It's not some sort of like, well, that's ICE law, so we don't have to obey it. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. Poof, gone. Yeah, just keep talking about life. Remember, look at LDS. I suspect they're trying to cover for the ICE. They're trying to extort me on a lot of things, probably money. It'll be like when there's an extortion ring, a deep state extortion ring like that, it'll be for several things, whatever they can make money doing, right? So again, it would probably be don't help ICE. It'll probably be pay a larger tithe, whatever they could do. And then maybe even they fear me into being a gay cruiser. You're a sinner, you're a gay cruiser, but you made me a gay cruiser, you had to be it. Or you would be my friend in the church. Unless I was a gay cruiser in your parks. Believe me, that's sick people, man. They're capable of that. Right. But you're the sinner. Go to our 5-step program. You want to be healed? You only want double your tithe. Otherwise, you'll be a gay cruiser the rest of your life. Now, one of the last videos I watched was a while back. I'm messing with their head right now. Because they mess with me. They're so mad that they can't get me looking porn. They're addicted. They're addicted to causing me to look at porn. It drives them nuts. I don't look at it. So again, those organizations will just whatever they can make money off of, right? Extortion. Again, but it doesn't mean that they're not violating ICE law. You know, trafficking in human trafficking, sex trafficking, narcotics distribution. They're related to. I guarantee they're related to those people. That's how it works. Like the Osceola sheriff, he was related to sex trafficking and narcotics distribution also. There was somebody affiliated with that gambling entity that they don't investigate. And I'm sure they were into other stuff. Right. And again, it doesn't mean that they were close enough to see. Maybe they were, and they said, don't worry about it, because that person is somebody that is, that works with us sometimes on some of our special stuff. So, all right, so that's how deep state covers it. Right. Well, that person there helped us before, but they're a deep state, criminal. No, I guarantee Osceola County had sex trafficking and narcotics distribution that was also covered. But it wasn't like everybody. It was just whoever was affiliated with the thing. Well, that's how they do it. You're not allowed to investigate the crony. You're not even allowed to see into their life, right? But yet, anybody that the cronies point at, you violate their rights and you look into their life and mess their life up all you like, right? Thank you, Larry. So the two things that come up for law enforcement right now is train to not jump on a vehicle or jump in a vehicle. I've said that before. Well, there's a drill for that. What happens when a vehicle goes to flee? What's the first thing you're supposed to do? Grab your radio and make a call. They have to be trained to do that. Because you'll watch people holding on to like the door handle, being drugged, And they go, tumbles, right? And then he gets on his radio, or she gets on her radio. How long was that? It wasn't that long, but sometimes it's up to a minute before they get back and get on that radio. Right? And no, you don't have to hang on to the door handle with one hand and the other hand, and the mic with the other hand. They're fleeing, they're running. So what's the best thing? Right, because you'll be more composed. You do a drill, you step back. That's the first thing you do, is you step back away from the vehicle. That'll stop you from the stupidity. Because in your mind, the drill says, because no matter how angry you get at somebody, because you get so angry at fleeing and looting, I don't know why you get angry at it. Oh, they're running. Let's call somebody. That's the way it should be. Not running, but driving away. Running, obviously, they expect you to run after them. But then again, right? Well, that's why you're supposed to have drones and stuff like that, because then the drone comes overhead. Who's that? It's a drone, don't worry, it's not armed. It's here for our protection. So don't try to flee and elude. That's what I was trying to build. They gave it to Ukraine. You should have claimed them before Ukraine. I don't know if they blocked my stuff or not. I told the police departments to claim any surplus drones from Afghanistan and Iraq. So they sat somewhere until Ukraine happened, and they got them. Like the full-size drones. Right? Better than helicopters. Right? Agreed. You send them over to Ukraine to be shot down. Right? Oh, there's our drones, really, PD. We shot it down. Oh, there's the one for NYPD. Just shot that one down in Ukraine. Oh, criminals, man. One of these people who does this to me, it's a criminal. Right. All right, so we have to train that, and then, yeah, again, telling them to call 911 could extend the time that you get into a vehicle. Again, I don't know what to tell you. You're not showing ID. There is a problem with that. I mean, these people like thwarted you. And now, again, they were wrong by driving off. Okay, that probably going to get them in trouble. You were probably in the front, or maybe not. Maybe a judge will say, "Hey, they asked for ID. You didn't give them an ID." Right. But what I would say is, call 911. If you're worried about this, call 911 right now. I want to see you call 911 and talk to them. Again, the answer is you call 911. Again, and you know that's the answer because that's what you used to do before this nonsense. Right? You get an officer, a marked unit. Most times when we do plain, okay, so that's maybe why you did your marked units. Yeah, you're going to have marked units now, I guess. Right? Right. Yeah, that sucks, though. I wish you'd have done something a little less obvious, but at night they wouldn't have been able to see it. Right. I would have tried, I guess the police departments don't want to respond. They won't respond. Yeah. Guess the marked unit's the way to do it. But I don't know, I still would have tried to make them the subdued one. I have to look at those units at night to see what they look like. Right. To see if you can see it. So if a citizen calls 911, they're going to call and say somebody's trying to break into my vehicle or something. Right. So they have to respond quickly. So the citizen actually has to make the call, or the non-citizen. Right. So yeah, I would instruct them to make, if you're having any problems getting in, do something, and that would say, call 911 if you're worried. Call 911. We'll wait. Let's see you call 911. Right. Try to maintain control of it. Right. But that's a way to do it while answering their questions as to who you are and how can you verify who you are. Like you can show the officer your ID. Right. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.